Thanks for joining us for another video blog. Today's topic is around what are the sorts of conversations that you need to be having as a leader, or that you need to see within your organisation to embed the culture that you're trying to create. So what today's topic about is something that's around helping you as a leader, I suppose, understand how we get that real breakthrough in the culture that we're trying to create. You might have seen in some of our other videos that we've been doing around culture and our series on culture that it's all about the way we do it here and the reason why we do it that way. And part of our role as senior leaders is to create an environment for success, and that environment for success is the culture that we're trying to create. So what I'm going to be talking about today is helping you understand what sorts of conversations do we really need to get right in order to bring that culture to life. So if we want our culture to be a point of difference, today's topic is around helping you understand the sorts of discussions and interactions that you need to be having with your people, and your people need to be having with each other in order for that culture to come to life. So I suppose to start off with, the reason why these conversations are going to be really key, the types of conversations I'm going to be speaking about are so important, is because one of the first things we want to see as part of moving our culture is aligned behaviour. So if we want to see all of our people behaving in a way that's consistent with our values and what's really important to us, we need to communicate to them in a specific way, and we need to make sure that that behaviour is aligned. So I suppose to get some value out of today, you'd be asking yourself the question, do I see all of my people at the moment, or all of the people across the business, behaving in ways that are consistent with what we're hoping to see or with our values? The next is these sorts of conversations are the ones that build great relationships, stronger relationships. So great relationships in organisations are built on trust, care and commitment. So if you are seeing, oh, you know what, there's some people in the business that aren't quite getting along, I still see there's a lot of negative tension between certain people, or perhaps there's a lack of trust between certain departments and certain individuals within the team, then these are the conversations that are going to really help with that, to really help embed a culture that allows trust, care and commitment to come through. The third is innovation. Embedding your culture means having conversations that's going to allow greater levels of creativity and problem solving to come through. So if you're feeling that we seem to be covering the same issues over and over again, we're not quite changing our ways fast enough, the speed of innovation that I want to see isn't really where it needs to be, it means that there's some conversations that we're not quite having, or the way we're having conversations isn't allowing that innovation to come through. And the final piece is momentum. Conversations that embed your culture are the ones that mean you're going to feel that we're really starting to get somewhere. Your culture is really there to be a point of difference, but it's also the way we're going to bring our strategy to life. So if you're feeling at any point in time that we're not quite making the progress that we need, or we're not achieving the things that we want, like it feels like we're so close but we're getting stuck, then it means momentum's an issue, and the sorts of conversations that you're having need to change. Now, before I get into the three conversations that are really important, what I want to do is I just want to cover off what we're not going to be addressing today. And what we're not going to be covering off are what are called performance conversations. And that's because while performance conversations are crucial for any manager or leader, and they're actually really important in the whole process of creating cultural change, they're not the ones that in our experience move the dial the fastest. Performance conversations are really important. These are the ones that relate to things like feedback, coaching, mentoring. It's around delegating effectively. It's also around making sure people are clear of the standards that we expect from them. But all of those ones are relevant to every organisation who's trying to achieve high performance. But when it comes to embedding a culture that's unique to your business, there's some other types of conversations that are really important. That's what we're going to be honing in on. So what are the three types that are key specifically for culture and how we embed culture? The first are what we call inspiring conversations. Okay, so these are the conversations that literally have an inspirational impact on people. And that's because the focus of these is around purpose. How do we help people understand the purpose of the organisation, the why for the organisation, as well as how do we help people unlock their own purpose, a purpose within themselves? Okay, something that's going to get them to feel really, really passionate and inspired about what they're doing and coming to work every day and feeling really good about themselves. And the reason inspiring conversations are important is because what they do is they lift passion and belief. People are more passionate, people believe in themselves and believe that we're actually going to get somewhere. And what passion and belief leads to, all of these things drives higher levels of energy within the business. So if we want to see energy lift, it means we've actually got to lift passion and belief. And that's going to come down to having inspiring conversations so people can really connect with the purpose of why we're doing things. So the next most important to embed your culture are what we call alignment conversations. And these are the ones that we don't see many companies do very well at all. Because this is where we've got to have some conversations that are around people getting that next level of detail in terms of what we need from each other and how we're going to support each other. The focus of alignment conversations is really around addressing expectations. I just want to clarify this is different from the expectations discussion that we'll have in our normal performance conversations, particularly with people who report to us. This is around having alignment conversations in terms of the expectations that we have from each other, particularly when it comes to peers and working across the business. And we need to have these things because we've got to start to uncover what the potential issues are going to be when the rubber hits the road, or what we call vital moments of interdependence. Okay, once we get into the day-to-day, are we really, really aligned? And particularly when a company's done a lot of work in clarifying the sort of culture that it needs and how the culture that's trying to create is linked to the strategy. We've then got to make sure that we get to that next level of detail and having people understand what this is going to look like when the pressure really comes on. And that requires having alignment conversations. And the reason we do this to make sure that we're addressing the expectations between people is because we're looking to lift clarity and focus. Clarity of exactly how we're meant to be supporting each other, and focus on those crucial moments in the day-to-day when providing that support is going to be most key. Businesses don't do this well, but what having alignment conversations does in terms of the clarity and focus is it's all about increasing the likelihood and lifting cooperation. Cooperation is where you've got everybody working towards the same end, where everybody understands what the bigger picture is and how they're meant to support each other on a day-to-day basis. And that also includes making sacrifices and compromises. But if we see cooperation's a little bit down, where when push comes to shove, people sort of go back into their shell and just do what they know best, as opposed to actually kind of sometimes making those compromises to help others, it means that we haven't got the right level of clarity and focus around what we really expect from each other as part of our culture. And the final type of conversation that companies need to have to really embed culture, and one that I know a lot of people do a lot of work on, I know a lot of leaders do a lot of work on this, is what we call honest conversations. Sometimes they're called difficult conversations or crucial conversations or confronting conversations, but this quite simply are the conversations that centre around conflict. For our culture to be a point of difference and for our culture to have a chance at bringing our strategy to life, we've actually got to have a way of communicating with each other when conflict kicks in, when we hit these moments of impasse. So an honest conversation is basically where we've got rising emotions, we're differing opinions, and the stakes are pretty high, and we need to really talk through something. Okay, so we're at a moment of conflict. And our ability to have these conversations is one of the things that's going to open up our ability to have constructive or healthy debate within the organisation in any context. And it's also going to open up our ability to do effective problem solving and being able to communicate with each other despite no matter what the issue is, no matter what challenges that we're confronting, in a way that's going to help us solve problems. And what these things, what healthy debate and problem solving leads to is greater levels of creativity. Creativity which then leads to much better innovation. So again, this one, I know this is one that a lot of companies do a lot of work on, but it's really crucial to culture because when we hit moments of impasse, that's when it's going to get tested the most, and that's when people really need to be there for each other. And this is the one that can really slow momentum within a business. Creativity comes from people working together, okay? So it's bringing lots of different perspectives, diverse views, diverse opinions, and being able to thrash those out on a number of issues. And if we can't do that effectively, we're going to slow creativity and innovation. So again, anywhere where you think maybe, if I'm looking around the business, do people shy away from the difficult discussions? Do I feel that things don't get said, particularly in group scenarios? Does it look like at times we've maybe got a little bit of artificial harmony? Possibly even with the right intent, because we've got a culture that we're trying to create and we want to make sure that everybody's doing the right thing, and people don't want to be seen as negative, so as a result we shy away from those difficult conversations. But as a result, we actually slow down problem solving and therefore we suppress creativity. So in summary, the reason why these three conversations are so key to embedding your culture is because these are the ones that are going to lift the overall level of care within the business. where everybody feels cared for by others in the organisation as a whole. And it's going to lift the psychological safety that exists across the business, which means people can raise any concern at any time. So I suppose if you're thinking that if I'm observing the culture that we're in right now, how safe does it feel how safe do I think it is for people to open up on anything? Because if we feel a little bit worried, if that's not there, we're not going to see the energy come through. Okay, it's going to be hard to get passion and belief up if people don't really feel cared for, don't feel that we're heading somewhere, don't feel they can open up. It's also going to be difficult to cooperate, because if we haven't had those right conversations around what we're going to do for each other in vital moments, then the focus is going to be off. I'm not going to be exactly clear of what I need to do. And then a final piece is, even with these other things happening, we're going to meet natural moments of impasse. Okay, we've got to work through problems together. And to be creative in those moments, we've got to make sure that we're having really good, honest conversations. So I suppose in summary, what I'd really like you to take from this leader is to just sort of, I suppose, be observant of the culture that you're in right now, and just look at, do I see energy up? Do I see cooperation just happening naturally? Do I see us being creative, particularly when we get tested? And if not, if you're wondering about those things, then it probably means that you as a leader or other leaders in your organisation just need to put some emphasis into these 3 conversations that are going to really help move the dial in the culture that you're trying to create. Thanks for listening, and we wish you every success.